Hello everyone. So today, instead of doing a word problem, we are going to check out the homework you had from last Friday. So what I want you to do is I want you to get your workbooks out and I want you to open up to the lesson number 4 problem set. And it looks like this. We're looking at number 6. Remember I gave you that challenge? I wanted to see how many squares could you see? So we're going to go over the answer today, well, what I think is the answer, and then we're going to go on with our lesson. So go ahead, get your books, and come right back to me. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is, obviously, we look at the picture, and we can count all of these boxes. We know all of these are squares, so we know that there is, how many? That's right, there's 24. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making a list of numbers for what we can see, okay? So we have 24. Now, before we begin, the one thing I want you to notice is this. When making a square, you have to have the same number of blocks on all 4 sides. That's what a square is. A square has equal sides. So when you're doing this, I hope you found that they were the same on each side. So let's get started. So what I did was I tried to color code them for you so you can see them a little easier. So here's the first ones that I thought you might see. These ones here there's 6 squares, and you'll notice each one has 2 and 2. So no matter which way I look, I have 2 on either side. So right here, I have 6 more squares. So I'm going to write my 6 right here, okay? Then what I did was I said, okay, here's these 6 squares, but couldn't I now make 6 squares, or I'm sorry, make 3 more squares in the middle? Do you see how I did that? So again, 2 on top, 2 on bottom, 2 on either side. So they're equal on all sides. So we have 3 more. So I'm going to put my 3 right here. We're getting to have lots of different numbers here, aren't we? Now, here's my next question. We're still on our 2 by 2s, right? So we have 2 blocks on each side. Could I do this? Because look what I did. On my last sheet, they were here. Well, now what we did was we used the inner squares. So now I have 2 more. Did you get those? So we got to put the 2 here. Now, again, we're still looking at 2s, okay? So we have it here, we have it here, and we have it here. But what about here now? So again, we're using the inner top and inner bottom. So we have 2 by 2s on all of them. So we have 4 more. I'm going to put my 4 down here. Now, I think that exhausts or gets rid of all the 2 by 2s. So now what you want to do is you want to look at squares that you can have 3 for all sides. So let's take a look. There's 2 on the top, right? So we have 3 blocks, 3 blocks on all sides. So we have 2 squares on top, but if you have 2 squares on top, we could probably put 2 on the bottom, right? Check that out. So all we did was we moved the blocks. So that gives us 2 plus 2, which is 4 more. I'm going to start a new column here, 4 more. Now look what I did. So our red one started here. All I did was shift it over 1 column, and that gave us this one. Again, still has 3 on top, 3 on the bottom. So there's 1. We shifted it down. 2. Shifted it over. 3. And then the last one, of course, is going to be in the bottom. 4. So all I did was I moved my square around. And again, each one of these has 3 each way. So that's 4 more. So I'm going to put a 4 here. Now, let's take a look. This one here is hard to see, but again, you have 4 and 4. So we have 4 blocks going this way, 4 blocks going down. So we're using our 4s now. 4s are a lot bigger, aren't they? And actually, 4 is the largest we could do because our table that we had only have 4 going down. So you can't really have a square with more than that because then your sides wouldn't be even. So I have 1 here, that's to the right, 1 that's to the left. So where does the last one go? You got it, right smack dab in the middle. So there's 3 more for us. So I'm going to put my 3 here. Hold on, we're going to do our adding for the next part of our lesson to find out our answer. Okay, so we have a lot of numbers to add. So we need to come up with a way that makes sense for us to add all these numbers. So the first thing I'm going to have you do is just kind of put this number aside. Okay, we're going to put that aside right now, and we're going to look at the other numbers. What I want you to do is notice I want to see what you can notice in these numbers. Do you notice anything? The first thing you should be doing is looking for a friend of 10. Do you see any friends of 10? I do. If I take a look here, I look and I see 6 and I see 4. 6 plus 4 equals 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a separate piece of paper and I'm going to write the number 10 down here. Now, I've used both of those. Do you see any other friends of 10? No. So now what I want you to do is I want you to look for doubles. Do you see any doubles facts that you know? Well, I know 3 plus 3 is 6, right? So I'm going to circle this and I'm going to circle this. And I know those two equal 6, which guess what? Gives me another friend of 10. So I can take this 3 plus 3, which is 6. Here's my 6. Add it to this 4 because I know 6 plus 4 is another 10. So I'm going to put 10 here. Do you see how this is working? So now what am I left with? The only 2 numbers that I didn't circle. I have 4 plus 2 more. 4, 5, 6. So 6. Now I want you to take a look at what I have left here. So now I have a 10, and a 6. So basically, if I drew myself a tens and ones frame, I have 2 10s and I have 6 ones, don't I? So I should have 26. Let's look. 10, 20, 20 plus 6 is 26. Okay? But that's not our answer. Because remember, I said to you, I want you to put this aside for now. So now, let's see if we can use our double-digit addition that we've been learning. So check it out. I'm going to set up my problem. I'm going to put 24 plus 26. And I'm going to set it up just like we've been doing. So take a look what I just did. 24 plus 26. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to always add my ones first, right? We always start with the ones. So I'm going to say 4 plus 6 or 6 plus 4 is 10. So can I write 10 down here? No, I can't. I have to write 10, my 1 10 and 0 ones. Now, what I need to do is draw a sideways caret here. We have to add 1 plus 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. And I could have said to you what's 2 plus 1, but you know that. So now I can't forget, I have to add 3 plus my other 2. 3, 4, 5. My answer, everyone, is 50. We found 50 different squares in that big square that we had. I bet you didn't think we'd see that many. But see, do you see how that works? So what we did was we actually tied in our geometry with our addition. And there's always all these different shapes out there. I want you to remember that. No matter where you go, you're going to see shapes. Now, what we're going to do in our next part of our lesson is we're going to be learning something called symmetry. So hang in there with me. Today what we're going to do is we're going to look at equal parts. And we're going to be dividing shapes into halves and quarters. And halves are when we take a shape and we divide it into 2 equal parts. And I want you to take a look here. I drew this circle and I divided it straight down and I put a little shading here so you can see each side is exactly the same. And we consider this 1/2. And the way we write 1/2 is just like this. We have a 1 with a line and then a 2. That's called 1/2. Or I could say 1 out of 2. So I could say 1 part out of 2 parts is shaded. And the same thing over here. I can call these quarters. Now I want you to think of quarters like the coin, the quarter. How many quarters do you need to make $1? That's right, 4. 25, 50, 75, $1. 4 quarters. So what I did was I took the same circle and then I drew another line and divided it into 4 equal parts. And I shaded one of those parts, and that's my quarter. And I could say 1 out of 4 is shaded, and that's how you write 1/4. Now, what I want to show you is this. I told you that they have to be equal parts. So here's a triangle. I drew a line down the middle, and if I folded this, they would be equal parts. But what about this one? This one's not equal parts, is it? Because if I shade this in, does that look like the same amount as down below? No, it doesn't. So what you're looking for is things to be the same. And when things are the same like that, we say they're symmetrical. They're the same on both sides, okay? So your homework tonight is just looking at shapes and deciding, are they equal parts? So what you're going to do is you're going to put a Y for yes or an N for no. And then if it is a Y, you want to put how many equal parts there are. So again, this is lesson number 7. We're actually skipping a couple of lessons in your book. So you're looking for lesson 7. And you're going to do this page, and then you're going to do the next page. And the next page does the same thing. It says write the number of equal parts in each shape. So that's what you're going to do, write the number of equal parts. Now, I have something else that's kind of fun that I wanted to show you that you can do. So we talk about symmetry. And symmetry is when you, again, make 2 things exactly the same. Well, how could you do that? Well, I'm going to show you a little trick that I learned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of paper and I'm going to fold it in half. And you can do this at home too. And you can make anything you want. So watch what I'm going to do. So see how I have that crease? I am only going to be drawing on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a black crayon, and my black crayon is going to be my outline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw, and I'm just going to draw 1/2 of what I'm doing. So I'm going to make sure that I go over it really, really good so it's nice and dark. So this is what I did. Okay? Can you tell what it's going to be? So now what you're going to do is you're going to close this up, okay? You're going to close it up, and I'm going to just use the tip of a marker. You can use anything you want. You can use like the tip of your pencil, the side of your pencil. I could actually just use the side of this. And what you're going to do is you're going to rub along any lines that you do. So you're going to rub it and rub it and rub it. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the image to go onto the other side. So once I think I have my image rubbed well enough, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up and check it out. It rubbed onto the other side. So now all I have to do is trace that line. I can trace that line, and then what I can do is I can decorate it. Now, if you want to challenge yourself, what you can do is on the one side, do all your designs over here, close it up, and then rub it, and then see if your designs transfer over. So that's just one way that you can see how it's an exact image, because we fold it and everything is the same on both sides. So you can draw a butterfly, just draw half of the butterfly. You could draw different shapes like stars or rhombuses, which are, of course, diamonds. And you could do all sorts of different things. So I would love to see your drawings, and I would love to see your work for today. So remember, we're skipping a couple of lessons in the workbook. We are on lesson 7 problem set. So you're going to do the 2 problem sets, and then go ahead and give this a try. This will be a fun little activity for you. I'll see you tomorrow.